What's good, everybody? Welcome to Just Everyday People, where we uncover and celebrate the uniqueness in everyday people. I am your host, Laulu Jesus Baby. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we'll be having a discussion with my friend Becky Larry Izamuje. She's a recording artist. She's an author. She's a music minister as well as also running an NGO. Can you believe it? And she is just 23 years old. Whew. So we're going to be diving into her journey. Thus far, we're going to be diving into how she discovered her purpose, how she got into all of these avenues that she finds herself in, and how she was able to write a book in 4 months. She was able to write and release a book in 4 months. Whew. Guys, stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Welcome to the show, Becky.
Thank you for having me.
Honestly, it's such a pleasure to have you. It really is. Just want to thank you for honoring the call. We've been trying to get you on for a while, but I don't know, maybe it's because of the clash of schedules. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so glad to finally be here. My own honor, privilege, to be honest. So thank you for having me as well.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
I just want to take maybe a few seconds, really, just to address some of the things that's been happening, in our world. You're in Nigeria, I'm here in the UK. And yes, we've had protests break out in Nigeria due to the NSARS movement. There have been protests in Zambia, there have been protests in the Congo, all due to police brutality. Then we've seen some in the wake of the killing of George Floyd. We've had protests
Yeah.
there. So just wanted to shout out to all the, the protesters out there, the people who are not happy with how it's going and they need a change. Just to tell them we're with you.
Yes.
And we really do, we're supporting you in prayers and whatever we can do, donations and everything.
Yeah.
And we know that there will be a change.
Definitely.
I believe it was yesterday or last night that we just found out that Joe Biden was
Yeah.
elected as the new president. So there is a ray of hope. There is hope.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just one of those things. I just wanted to, to take some time out to really say that,
Yeah.
because we're losing people. I mean, we've lost people in these things, and it seems like to some point to the government, our lives are not really worth much while they're in office until they need to be elected. But I just wanted to
Yeah.
stand up and say that people, we love you, and
Yeah.
we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you wanted to, I don't know, say a
Honestly,
few things.
trust me when I say this fight continues. The fight doesn't stop.
Mm,
Um, and I think for me, 2020 has been that year where we have finally just become more loud and vocal about
mm,
injustice.
yes.
And I'm so excited about the change that will come.
Mm,
I used to say, okay, I'm doing this for my unborn kids. I'm like, no, I'm doing it for now. I'm
mm,
doing it for my unborn kids, yes, but I'm also doing it for now.
mm.
Because we wouldn't wait for a future that we haven't got it to if we can create change now.
Oh yes,
So let's
that's right.
fight, let's keep going.
Mm.
Let's keep using everything that we have,
Oh yes.
and keep letting our voices be heard.
Mm.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And you're one of those people as well who goes out, onto the street. You protest. You use a lot of your platforms. You set up an NGO as well, really just to educate people around it. So thank you so much for all your work and all you do.
This is God's work. I don't think I have a choice.
But yeah.
I'm happy, to be honest. I'm happy. Yeah, it's biblical. Like speak
Mm.
up for the oppressed.
That's right.
You know,
That's
for
right.
Jerusalem. It is what we have been called to do in this time to continue to speak up.
Mm.
So I'm grateful for it. To be honest, it's tiring. It's heavy. It's a
Oh yeah.
burden
Oh yes.
sometimes. But the end goal is worth it. And I know even sometimes when we can't see the end goal, we know what that end goal is,
Mm.
right? So let's keep going. So yes, to other organizations out there, people
Mm.
like you as well that are using your platform for this sort of conversations
Oh yes.
and driving this change.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just keep going. So thank you, to be honest, too.
Hey,
Yeah.
be encouraged. Be encouraged. There is hope. Amen. So yes, let me fully introduce my sister here. So welcome to the show, Becky Larry Izamoje. Is that right?
Whoop, 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 whoop. Perfectly said. Perfectly
Awesome.
said.
Get it. Got that twang going.
Of course.
So you are a recording artist. You have about 4 songs out. I mean, as well as some of your other projects.
Yeah.
I remember In Awe of You, and oh my god, when that song dropped, oh my god, I played it for like a month straight. Honestly,
Wow.
I mean, I remember there was a video we took when myself, BK, and all of us from the response. Yes,
Yes.
and we were singing that song. We were playing it. Ah, that song was amazing. And I
That's
believe
a big.
that was amazing. And I
Wow.
believe since then you've had some more songs, Surrender All, um,
Yeah.
So Rain, Heart Cry.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
you've
Yes.
had some amazing ones. And then, as you're based in Nigeria at the moment, you have an NGO as well called the Impeccable Youth Foundation.
Yes.
You're also an author. Amazing.
Is it
uh,
too much?
no, no, no! Please enjoy this. This is all from the work of God in you. So let's brag on our sister a little bit.
Right.
So the book is called Your Love Is Unbelievable. 22 real stories of encounters with God's love, and you're also a praise and worship minister. So you go around. You've been all around in UK as well, as you are in
Yeah.
Nigeria. Just
Yeah.
ministering through song. So
Yeah.
wow, where do we even start? So please, if you could take us, I mean, a little bit back to the beginning of your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot, to be honest, because I think the kind of person that I am, and I think it's just I don't know what it is really. I think it's just drive.
Mm.
I don't actually pause sometimes to realize that, oh,
You've come this far.
we've been working steadily.
Mm.
I'm constantly on the move. I'm constantly on the go. I'm constantly like, oh, what's next? Or what are we doing? And I was even literally this morning as well. I was reading back because I was just like, you know what, rest, stillness, grounding. And I was reading back at some things that I had written in my notes,
Okay.
and how God was telling me rest is compulsory, because I'm someone that's like constantly on the move.
Mm.
But it's good to like look back and just reflect on your journey and just see how far you've come, how
Mm.
far you've been able to do. I'm really young. I'm 23,
Wow.
and I would say that I'm actually a baby girl. So even I always wonder, I'm a young girl, a very young lady. So to be honest, I think for me, I almost feel like I'm watching myself become the woman I aspire to be, which
Wow.
has not been without a lot
Struggles,
of dependence
challenges.
on God,
Mm-hmm.
and has not been without hard work.
Mm.
Has also not been without other people and other resources. I never like look at my life and just think, oh, I can't even take credit
Like you're
because obviously
self-made, and to feel like you did this all by yourself. Mm.
exactly.
Mm.
I can't even attempt to do that because sometimes I look at like I didn't even know. You know when it's okay, what do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to be in 10 years? I wasn't that person at all that had like such a clear direction as to, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. I kind of had an idea
Oh,
based
you
off my
didn't?
life pattern. Trust me. So let me even
Okay.
like walk that
Yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah.
So, and when I was growing up, right? So I'm the third of three girls in my family, and I'm
Okay.
the last born as well.
Okay.
I have two older sisters, 3 years in between us. So it's not that, so 6 years and then 3 years. So it's not that,
Okay.
one of that far apart, right?
Okay.
But I noticed that from a very young age, I was like class captain of my class. I was
Okay.
head girl in my high
Go
school.
on.
Like, so I had, like, you know what I mean? I had all this,
Okay.
I kind of knew that, okay, there's some form of leadership
Okay.
in me.
Responsibility has been given to you.
There's leadership responsibility that I think I have, that sort of thing. But nothing more than the ordinary, just in school, and I always ensured I was, doing well.
Okay.
And I was a very moral girl, so I was teacher's favorite. I was that kind of girl, like I
Oh
was the
yes,
front in the
teacher's
class.
pets.
I was that kind of girl,
Of
actually.
course. Of course. Of
To
course.
be honest, right? But I think a number of things started to change in, like, I would say that transition between junior secondary and senior secondary school. I started intentionally thinking through what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Now I had issues with my eyes. This was from when I was like 10. I had issues with my eyes, so my eyes would always tear up on its own, unprovoked. My eyes would just start to tear up.
Okay.
Literally. And it was something that I knew, okay, was becoming burdensome. So my parents were very concerned. Said, okay, we would have, some examinations done and everything. Started wearing glasses and all of that. So I thought, oh, this would be good. Maybe I can become an ophthalmologist because of this thing I'm going to help people who may be going through something similar.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, this is a good path to pursue. But when I did I think it's called checkpoint, it's like A levels, but like junior A levels before you go to senior secondary school. And there's an exam in Nigeria called NECO.
Okay. So
it's like the national examination, council exams for junior secondary before you go to senior secondary.
Okay.
after my NECO, I realized I did better in like my business study grades than my science grades. And I was like, this may be a clear indication of where I should go to.
Okay.
I remember praying about it. I didn't really, I went from a Christian home, so I would sing in church. I also, I got to add that I enjoyed singing.
Yeah,
I always enjoyed club, all of those.
So when did you find out you were a good singer? Was this from school?
Actually, that's
from
the
church?
same period. So
okay.
From like junior secondary, when I got to secondary school, they would point out people in our class to sing or people to present, and they would point me out. I'm like, okay, can I really sing like that? Okay. I mean, let me represent the class.
So you embraced it. You embraced it.
Sorry.
You embraced it.
So I embraced it. Exactly.
Okay.
Actually, it was something that was told to me, like, oh, you can sing. I was like, okay. You say so.
Okay.
And then I embraced it. Started singing in secondary school. I remember like always wanting to do special numbers and things like that. And I'm like, but that girl can actually sing. And I'm just like, okay, there's something there.
Okay.
Right. So that was by this side, me thinking, oh, my outside of academics passion is singing. And then it wasn't even anything too serious. So we had like SoundCloud accounts. My sister would upload me singing different songs at Adele, this and that, like just me having fun as a young girl, you know. But as that was going on by this side, I started thinking through what I wanted to study, and this is when to secondary, high school. Then I was like, oh, it seems like after my exams, like, it seems like I'm doing well in my inter-science, rather in my business courses.
Okay.
It was something I was like, is this something God would want me to do? And then I think it was Psalm 1 verse 3 where it says, whatever you do, you prosper. Like the whole verse is like a tree planted by the rivers of water whatever you do, you prosper. I said, okay, God, I don't know if this was even God or it was me. I was like, whatever I do, I will prosper. So I'm going to go into this field, and I just trust that this will somehow make sense if it's something that I'm really supposed to be in.
Into business.
Sorry?
Into business.
Into business, exactly.
Okay.
Into business. Okay. So it was like the commercial class. So
Okay.
that was how I entered like studying commercial studies, economics, business management, and then for my undergrad, I did that as well when I was in uni, my master's, and that's like has shaped my career path as well. So a fun fact that people don't know is that outside of my NGO and the music, I actually work in 96, and I work as a brand and growth strategist. That is literally
go on.
Exactly, that is like I feel like that is the bulk actually of a lot of my work. It's like maybe even up to 70%, because obviously it's a 9 to 6. There are always projects to do. There's a lot going on that end as well. And outside of that, there's the NGO, there's the book, there's the music, which is why.
So it seems like everything else is so much.
Exactly. It's so interesting though. It's very interesting because I feel like when I think about my life and what I want people to remember, like, I think about even attention span of people on social media. People say that people have 15 seconds attention span unless they're really intrigued in the conversation, things like that. If someone stumbles across, you just stumble upon my page, or you just stumble upon me, for instance, what's the one thing I want you to take away? What is the one thing I want you to remember about me? It just has to be that Jesus has saved my life and that he can save yours too. So for me, that is the driving force of everything else. In those things, I now find expressions. In those things, I'm now able to sing. I'm now able to help. I'm now able to, you know what I mean? Run the NGO, excel at my work, X, Y, and Z. But for me, that is like the most important thing. And I think it's like the one thing I want to always keep in front of my mind, so that even as much as my life is going, responsibilities are increasing, I want it to remain the most important part of me. Obviously, when God says, okay, be vocal about X, Y, and Z, of course, there'll be the opportunity to share business ideas, things like that, which, to be honest, already have started coming since I've been back home, and I'll go to that in a second. But I've just seen how I'm able to, try to look at life as just, which is something in line with what we're speaking about, not look at my life as different bits and bubbles, but a collective whole that tells one story. So even as much as I'll have different responsibilities, different assignments, different projects, different roles. Today you're writing a book, tomorrow you're singing a song, tomorrow but whatever it is I'm doing, I kind of want my life to always, not even kind of, I always want my life to tell one story, So I'll say God really is the driving force behind everything. Um,
That is
but yeah,
beautiful.
so that was me growing up. Gave my life to Christ in 2012. After that, um, you know, uni, came to the UK for my degree.
Okay.
Did my undergraduate degree, University of Birmingham.
Okay.
Did my master's in Warwick.
Okay.
And then I moved back to Nigeria in 2018. So to be honest, I don't think I'm still. So there's this term called IJGB. It's for people that just come back home. I just got back.
Yeah.
I think I'm still an IJGB, but I don't think people think I'm an IJGB.
Wow, you've been back
So
for about
I
2 years
still
now.
use Google Maps everywhere. I still pretty much I'm figuring out what it is that I'm doing in terms of understanding systems and how things are run. But so far it's been good. So that's like a background about like my life, my work.
Okay.
And obviously there's a lot more in terms of how I then began like singing and going into this fully, which ultimately I would say kind of just happened from my relationship with God. It kind of just flowed. I just knew that God was calling me to express more of that side.
Okay.
I would hear these songs. I didn't plan, like, I remember the day I had a YouTube channel, like, and I started a YouTube channel in 2015.
Okay.
And this was my first year of university.
Okay.
And it was literally me just, God is like, XYZ, like, so you're going to do this, you're going to sing, this is how you're going to do it. And I'm like, huh? I'm not trying to do YouTube. I'm not trying to do YouTube.
Of what to do.
He actually instructed me to the T. Like, and same thing with this book as well.
Okay.
Like, I feel like sometimes God is so specific with what he wants me to do per time. He's so, like, I would hear the name, I would see the color. Same thing with my NGO. I saw the name, I saw the color, I saw the logo. Like, he's so specific. It's crazy, which is why I take these things very seriously, because I know that this one is not even me, which is why I said at the beginning that I can't even compete, because I didn't even inspire, I didn't think through, I didn't know, so with music as well, most of the time, I would hear a song or just hear a rhythm and then would just get pen on paper, write it down, flesh it out, and God in his own amazing way will connect me with people to work with me, to bring it to life. Wow. So I think my story is a combination of a lot of things that I did not see happen. But and like I said, because I didn't have like, I want to be here in 5 years, it's very unconventional. So every year to me is a surprise. Wow. I didn't see myself putting out a book in 2020. Never. Wow. Last year I got this book and I was like, yeah, sounds nice. Yeah. Yeah, and then he reminds me again through a friend of mine during the lockdown. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's actually time to do it. She literally just said, oh, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, oh my God, did I tell you? Are you the one telling me? She's like, oh no, I'm like, yeah, God has actually told me this before. So I just took it seriously and it's out. So my life has just been a series of, I'm just unraveling a story that God himself has already written. I don't really know I don't even know what next year will look like
beautiful.
or what.
That is
it's so interesting, to be honest.
So when you were younger, so when you were younger, let me kind of just
backtrack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when you were younger, you didn't actually have a profession or career or something you were more in line to. It wasn't like your parents were swaying you to one thing. You didn't have anything in mind, did you?
Like I mentioned, because of what I went through with my eyes, I thought. So I've noticed that when I have a passion, when I'm burdened about something, I want to do something about it.
There you go.
So that's kind of how God connects the dots. Once I see something, I'm like, something can be done. I kind of don't wait. I want to do it. It's like I want to just, let's. Once I envision this can be better, I would want to go ahead and make it better. So I felt like that was what was making me want to become an ophthalmologist. However, because of like my courses and everything, I was like, you know what? Okay, let's do this instead. Let's do like follow business management, that route instead. Wow. My parents were fine with it. My parents didn't have I think for my parents, they just want you to be on God's side. They just don't want that. My parents don't really have they didn't have like a fixed. I know my dad was excited about me being a doctor because my sisters as well are into like the whole business line. So it would have been like a different route. So one of us is a doctor, that sort of thing. But then again, we never know. I'm 23. I can go to med school next year. Like who knows?
Sure.
Life is just so you really don't know the next move. Well, I didn't really have like I want to study this, I want to be this when I grow up. I just know I want to lead. I know I want to
Okay.
lead people. I know I want to create change.
Okay.
Yeah, those sorts of things. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Um, and it's interesting as well because um, for some people, they feel like there are sometimes the environment may not be conducive to them growing or developing into who they want to be.
Mm,
But it seems like for you, especially for the fact that you've achieved so much at 23, that
mm,
you were in an environment that was able to help you. Okay, if you see like nurture every little thing every little thing. So whether it's the
mm,
responsibilities, you are giving responsibilities in school, whether it's the singing, well, you were in church, so they were able to develop that. Whether
mm.
it's the curiosity about things, you had maybe your parents who are Christians as well, who could maybe
Yeah.
give you some seeding, some pastors.
Yeah.
So can you speak to the importance of having a conducive environment?
Yeah. To be honest, I think I would even turn that question around
Okay.
to make it more of a personal
Okay.
a personal focus.
Okay.
So there's something that's really dear to my heart, and it is helping people to also remember
Mm.
that your environment does not necessarily dictate what your tomorrow will be. So
Okay.
your environment has a say. So for instance, I have friends and I know people who, let's say, were raised by single parents, did
Mm-hmm.
not have um, you know, the
The
most
finance
effective
that could help them. Mm-hmm.
exactly
Mm-hmm.
to encourage them, to
Mm-hmm.
help them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also remembering that your life and your future is not dependent on what your today,
Mm.
or your current situation looks like. So
Mm.
you can change that narrative. You can
Mm-hmm.
create something out of nothing
Mm.
currently. Um, for me, I think I've been like, nah, trust, like trust. I think I've been blessed to, find people who genuinely love me, want to support me, want to be
Mm.
there. But also, I genuinely believe that even with the right resources around you, there's the need for you to use those resources and remain
Mm.
intentional about your pursuit to become what God has called you to be and who you know you want to become.
Speak on it.
So there are a lot of us that maybe might even be raised in, you kind of hear stories about, oh, this person is, grew up in a church X, Y, and Z, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
utilizing those resources.
Mm-hmm.
Some other people may have just looked at themselves as victims of circumstances. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is all. I cannot become anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's understanding that, oh, that happened to you, so that story can inspire
Yes.
somebody else.
Yes.
That happened
Yes.
to you, so
Yes.
that you can
Yes.
become something from that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just don't ever like want to settle or take no.
Okay.
I almost am like anti no. I don't believe nothing can be done. I don't believe I don't believe I really I
You
want
believe
to be able to
change is possible. Mm-hmm.
exactly. Change. I think I'm going to make that to a shirt. Change is possible. Change is
Nice.
possible.
Nice.
Honestly, because I really believe that change is possible. That
Mm.
sums it up.
Mm.
But then again, like I said, not on your own. But when
Mm.
you take yourself seriously, people will take you seriously.
Yes.
So when
Very
you
much
want
so.
to now use those gifts, people say, "Oh, I want to help. Oh, of course I can do this. Oh, what do you need?" And then you realize that God has already given you everything that you need. All that was waiting was just for you to take that step.
Mm.
That's kind of how I bridge those two things.
Okay.
Your environment really does matter,
Mm-hmm.
but also you and your intention
Mm-hmm.
and your will and desire
Mm-hmm.
to not settle really matters. So when those two marry, it's like boom, change is
Wow.
possible. Things
Wow.
happens.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. That is amazing. Thank you for that.
Honestly.
Okay, so now I'd like you to, because I feel like you've explained a lot and pretty much you've spoken about this already, but I'd like you to maybe just tie it to the name. So what would you define as purpose
Wow.
for you?
Top of my mind, I would say what's the use of something, what something was created for.
Mm-hmm.
Top of my mind. And this is as mundane as the chair, the table, or let's use this for this, let's use this for that. But I think also making that practical, which is in line with pretty much a number of things I've shared before. I kind of like to tie purpose to not just us as individuals, but to situations that we find ourselves in.
Okay.
So me as a person, yes, my life has one purpose, and I mentioned that at the beginning. Everything I do in this life must give God glory. Everything I do in my life, I must go to bed at night and wake up in the morning knowing that God in heaven is proud of me, and of course He's always proud, but the decisions I make are constantly moving me closer to become, more like Him. But also understanding that every situation can serve a purpose. So everything can also make me become that. So even when I think, X, Y, and Z isn't turning out the way I want it to, X, Y, and Z can make me become a better version of me. X, Y, and Z can serve an assignment that can shape me to become something in 5 years' time. So it helps me to not look at purpose as exactly. So I don't look at purpose as a
end goal.
Full stop. Exactly. Purpose. This is my purpose. End of story.
Okay.
I feel like life is such a every day
evolving,
there's a new
growing, developing
process.
Evolves,
Purpose evolves. Assignments evolve. The purpose would remain, but the assignments will evolve. What it can, the platform your purpose will shine through can evolve. You're always learning. You're always changing. You're always growing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when all of this is said and done, the end goal is the end goal, So that's kind of like how I would shape purpose as an individual, and also looking at situations and how you make the best out of them to make you become who, God has ultimately called you to be.
That's amazing. Because I'm thinking of this analogy of the mobile phone. So initially, the mobile phone was just used to make a phone call. You would ring or dial the... But then as desires, as people wanted more, as people felt like it could be used for more, then okay, let's put some games in there. Let's make it wireless so we can take it all around. Let's make it look better. But the idea, the end goal is still, if it's to make a call, you can definitely use it to make a call. But in maybe a different country, in a different city, it can still be used for an internet, for Google Maps, for wherever it is. Yeah. But
that is so perfect.
As you explain, that's what I thought.
Imagine the mobile phone says, "I only want to make calls." You would be fulfilling your purpose as just making calls, but there's also more that you can do, and more that you can be with those extras, So it's also not settling for just, well, I woke up today, well, I'm happy. You know what I mean? But unraveling, or what is the value I can bring to any position I find myself, any place I find myself, any situation I find myself, any person I come in contact with. Because there's a purpose in everything. So even as you have your individual, everyone we're on our purpose journeys, if I come in contact with someone for 30 minutes and they may never, like what I said at the beginning, you may never see me again. But in this moment, that seed, like there's something that would be deposited. Same thing, vice versa, with whoever I'm in contact with. That person too must have impacted me, or must have left something. It's also looking at our lives as so much more than just the ordinary. Like we're not basic people. We're multidimensional people, and there's so much that we can do and we can be. So I love that example. Like it really, that's the perfect example. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So how essential do you think it is to live with purpose? So, because like you were saying, you can meet someone for a certain amount of time, and you can leave. If you did not understand the reason why you were meeting this person, why you're speaking to them, the chance that you could have lost that opportunity to minister, speak, love, serve, honor someone, or change their life in some way, and you may never get that opportunity again. So I wanted to ask you, how important do you think it is to live with purpose?
The only word that's coming to my mind is intention. And I think that, oh my God, I feel like you're giving me shit ideas. I'm like, make a shit out.
Write them down. And says, inspired by Mr. Jesus, baby. I'll take it.
Definitely. Because I have to be so even this one I'm wearing, it says Jesus changed me. Like it's just something I just think, oh my God, that works. I'll make it into a shirt because I want to remember. It's just random. But anyway, that's so in line because intention means it's at the forefront of my mind. Like I want to remember this thing. I'm intentional about it. So I don't want to forget about this thing. I want to keep this thing in my heart. I want to remember this thing. Now, if we think about about living purposefully,
Mm.
it has to be an intentional act because life is so busy and life is life. Like there's always something to do.
There's
There's always something
always
to take your
something.
time. There's always something.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always something. You can just be living and not even realize that it's a month. We're about to 2020 is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But then intention means, what do I want to make out of the situation? What do I want to make out of this relationship? What do I want to make out of this friendship? Or better yet, how does God want to use me in this friendship? How does God want to use me in this relationship? How does God want to use me in this place of service? Now, what intention does is that it creates an automatic filter.
Yeah.
So with intention, you wouldn't be everywhere. You wouldn't go to every place. You wouldn't be everyone's friend. You wouldn't. Your name might not be called in all the conversations things like that. You're intentional about your routes and intentional about where you're going and who you want to be. So I think intention is the deal breaker. A lot of us sometimes, like what I was saying about life, we can be so busy. And you look back, I'm like, okay, am I even being productive? Or am I just being busy? Am I even producing fruits?
Am I effective?
Is there substance attached to what I'm even putting my hands in? And I think that's the beauty of intention. Intention is not without action, and intention is not without results. Like you would see the result of your intention. But going back to always check, what am I doing this for? Why am I in this conversation? Why did I say yes to that appointment? Or what am I? Those sorts of conversations would constantly drive the decisions that you make, and ultimately, our decisions is what that's the shaping. That's what shapes. I would say the outcome of everything.
And a lot of that's true.
What do you think as well too? Because I think like even that, like being intentional, can be put in different ways. Yeah. So what do you think about that like concept of it? Oh my God, I'm like throwing it back.
Let's switch it up. Let's switch it up today. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so what do I think about intention? I think living with intention, because I was actually going to ask you this question, but I'll answer. I think living with intention is hard. I think it's very, very difficult. I think it's easier to live up to chance and then pick up when you're not happy, or just say, okay, it wasn't. Rather than going, okay, so I am here for a reason. This is what I want. This is how I feel it should go. Now, if it doesn't go, I understand that, okay, at least I can learn something from this and maybe take it to the next one. Rather than saying, okay, it didn't work. It should have worked. It must have worked. Do you understand? So then it kind of absolves you of feeling bad because you're like, do you understand? And I don't know, because I asked myself a lot of these questions as well. Like, purpose is so important. And to live purposefully, it kind of means you have to understand why you're here. And because with the idea of purpose means there was intention in creation.
Wow.
With the idea of intention for creation means there must have been a creator. So I'm thinking a lot of people don't want to accept the fact that there is a God who created us for a reason. So they'd rather live without intention, feeling like this is all just coincidence that happens coincidentally. So they don't need to be accountable later on.
Wow.
This is what I think. But yeah, it's one of those reasons why I'm asking a lot of people, a lot of these things, that why is purpose? Because I see people living purposefully. And the thing about living with purpose is the world will make a lane for you.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, how old you are, as long as you're living purposefully, and it's not like you're following the crowd, but you know what you want and you're going for it, the world will make a way for you.
I agree so much.
So what do you think?
Wow. That is big. That is big because it strips away, like, it's almost like an onion and you're removing the layers. It strips away everything else and it takes us back to the core. And the core will always be the core. Like, the core will always be the core. So there's this song actually, it's called All About You by Tomiwa Emmanuel. Shout out to Tomiwa Emmanuel actually, because this song, like when I listened to the song, I was like, are you even joking? What did I just hear? Now this is the part that always like blows my head off.
Mm.
He says the purpose of this life is to know Jesus and to make him known.
Mm.
Like that's how he summarized purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, actually, you have a, like, not only you have a point, this is it. Because, and I'll speak for myself, for instance. My identity, which is who I am, my purpose, what I do, what I'm called here for, my assignments, places that I can execute that purpose. Everything came to be with my knowledge of God. My life before God and my life when I met with God is this. You know when the old shall become new.
Oh yes, very very different.
Like the girl did indeed died. Because how did IYF come, for instance? It was after my 17th birthday. I was just praying. By this time, I had already taken my work with God very seriously. I was praying. We have a family prayer room in our house, and I was praying. And then I literally would go with a journal. I need to add this in there. Like, even in our prayers, we need to be intentional about listening, because there's so much that like God wants to even share, open our hearts to tell us about. It's not business as usual in terms of, I just tell you, I just, I thank you Lord for this, I thank you Lord for this. Like, like we have to listen.
It's a conversation. I'm speaking and I should listen.
Communicate. Like, what is on your heart? What would you have me do? What would you have me say per time? Because it can also change. So I was actually there, and then I went with my journal, just, praying. And then God starts telling me about this NGO. So I started writing. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Really nice. Such a great project. Because I'm like, this is big. But I didn't even, because I knew it was God, my human instinct of fear and of running away, it didn't even come that seriously. I wanted to just listen, first of all. When I wrote it all that, he gave me a name. Now we got to the process of registering the name and everything. This was when I was in the UK, because the plan was I'll register everything from there, down here, register it down here. But while I was there, just so that when I come back, the ground is ready to work. So I sent out the name for registration and everything, and then they told me, this name is impossible. This name is taken. We can't have this name. The name doesn't work with the system. And I was starting to question everything I had ever heard. Like, not like question the NGO or I questioned my hearing. I questioned, okay, so why would you even, why like what is, I don't even want to, first of all, like this is just not even in my own, like I don't know what this is. I started questioning things. And then literally I was talking to a group of friends, which is why we'll go back to community again.
Oh yes.
Talking to a group of friends, and then they're like, okay, how about we pray? Because what might happen is God might even have a different, obviously not saying the vision has changed, but he might want you to execute it in a different way. And that would only be possible if you're willing to listen. So how about before you throw your tantrum, I know it's not easy, I know you're going through a lot, but after throwing tantrum, come back, let's go and pray and ask God what he wants. And we're praying, and then it was just like impeccable. Now I've heard impeccable before. I had never I knew what it meant, but I had never Googled or to even understand what it meant. And I was like, oh guys, this is what I'm hearing. And then one of my friends is like, no, this is exactly what I'm even seeing. We started connecting the dots. Before we finished praying, I saw the colors. I Googled the meaning of the colors, blue and yellow. Like, God was just so precise. And for me, which is what you said about why sometimes we shouldn't just take life by, well, chance happened. They couldn't register the name. Oh, well and good. I tried, God. I tried. We must remember that there's enough in God. God is sufficient enough to do and undo and redo.
Oh yeah.
There's enough. His creativity doesn't run out. Because he told you you'll get a grant and you went to apply for a grant and you didn't get that grant, doesn't mean you will never get a grant again. You will reapply. Because he told you would be a doctor and your first school told you a no, doesn't mean you wouldn't. My master's program, my dream schools said no. I was like, God, this is my last straw. If this school says no, I don't know what you want me to do. But I remember that I was listening to this song by Tim Godfrey called So Good. Intentional God. It doesn't matter what comes my way, you are still God. Reliable God. Everything is working out for my good. I looked it till I remembered that, God is intentional. So even the things that I don't think make sense are just invitations for me to come.
He knows exactly what he's doing and why he's doing it.
Literally that. Like I can just come back to him, ask him. Maybe he's saying, "Oh, I don't want you to go that route. Oh, I wanted you to do that so that you would learn that next time you should." Like God is always bringing out beauty from even the things that we think are not working out or don't work out the way we think. So in my inability to, in my energy and let's make life happen, there's so many, like it's almost like you're even opening up yourself for disappointments. Like you're
that's true.
disappointed. But I've learned that with God there's nothing like a disappointment in a sense, because from my end it might be a disappointment. I might be broken, I might cry, have some ice cream, sleep off, have have my have time to read. You know what I mean? Have time to really be tired. But my resolve and my heart must always be, okay, what do you want from me now? And there's enough in God. There's enough to take. There's enough to rewrite the story.
Oh yes.
And that's literally how IYF came about from that situation. So if I took life and I just said, well, this thing happened, this whole journey, and I can tell you, it's been hard, but it's been God. Like I just know that this is God's baby. God reminds me every day that this is His baby, and He helps me to press on and press it. So we must be intentional, and that intention comes with dependency. Comes to dependency and reliance on God, because there's enough in God. There's enough in God. There's enough in God, to walk you through any vision He gives you. Yeah.
Amen. Whew. Amen.
Wow.
I was gonna ask you, what part does your faith play in you finding and understanding your purpose? But I kind of feel like that question is kind of redundant now, because to be honest, without a faith, without a level of your faith, that nothing stands, pretty much. Am I right?
I tried so hard to define purpose outside of God. I tried. Like, I'm being real, because obviously, even with my NGO, we don't speak to only people that are in the faith. We are called to everyone and everywhere. So there are people that you will come in contact with who are not in the faith. And of course, the Lord will give you wisdom on how to communicate to people who may not be in the faith, to understand that there's value, that there's enough in them as well. There's potential in them as well. But whenever I share my story, and whenever I have the opportunity to share my story, I'm not doing my story justice if I don't, like, you know what I mean? I don't have anything outside of how, like, my faith was literally I call God the foundation of my foundation. And for music, you know what I mean? Even in terms of, I'm not one of those people that went to music school or songwriting 101. I even still want to learn, because I look at life and I'm like, how did that happen? It was God inspired. So for me, faith is even more than just wanting to do good, because I look at life from a holistic place. When my purpose on earth is done, when I finish my journey here, there's so much more. So God was telling me the other day, this was even way back before I moved to Nigeria, and I'm like, oh my God, it's getting real now. And I was like, so how do we speak to a diverse, culturally diverse, religious diverse people about this platform, about finding their identity? How do we do those things? And I remember, like, God was just telling me, there's nothing spooky about sharing your story. There's nothing weird about it's your reality. It's your reality.
Making it personal.
And many times it's our fear that limits us. It's our, how would they take it?
Will they judge me?
But how about, what if they actually take you well? Like, because you don't want, what if they see me as, but what if somebody actually, not even what if, they definitely even need to hear that. So you're doing them a disservice, you're doing your story an injustice, and all of this is just, you're just covering the reality of it if you don't share the reality, and if you don't share the wholeness, about how me as God has transformed your life and your journey. So I literally cannot, like, I don't know how to like share my life story without God, because God is at the front. But then I always like to include this: God is not just a concept, meaning you pray and then you go to bed. God is a teacher. God is a helper. Like I always say that zeal without knowledge is futile. It's scriptural. There's nothing, you can have all the zeal in the world and it's not backed up by knowledge. So God will tell you to read. God will tell you to research. God will connect you with the networks and the people and the research that you need. but you would work, which is why Paul said, yes, it's the grace of God, but nonetheless, I have worked more than all you.
Yes.
If we say that today, it may someone say, this person is proud, but it's reality.
Yeah.
There's work that comes with God-given responsibilities. Purpose comes with work. So we want to find our purpose. We want to be purposeful people. But that's also you saying, I want to serve. That's you saying, I want to read. That's you saying, I want to learn. That's you saying, I want to
spend my time doing things of God rather than things that I want to do.
Exactly. It's literally you dying to self to fulfill a purpose that is bigger than you. You know.
Woo. Yeah. Goodness.
Yeah.
Goodness. Oh, that's good. Whew. Honestly, this is gonna bless someone. This is blessing me already.
Yeah, even me.
So yes.
This has really blessed me.
So just before we get into maybe the hows did you get into the recording, the NGOs, writing a book and praise and worship. I wanted to ask you to maybe speak on the impact of a community or of your community around you. How have they helped you? I'm sure not all of them or not everything you've heard is all positive. How has some of the negative maybe fueled you to be better? How has accountability been essential? So yeah, I just wanted to see if you could speak to that.
I'm trying to look for a way to start. I think I'll start with Mary and Jesus Christ. You know that we always, obviously Jesus, right? It's Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
But then there was Mary, there was Joseph. There were people that were part of ensuring that this mandate will be fulfilled.
Yes.
Nobody is an island. Nobody just comes here and it's just you. Yeah. You're in the field of an unknown. Figure it out.
That's right.
People that have walked this path before you. There's nothing new under the sun. And it takes humility and a teachable spirit and a teachable attitude to really humble yourself and learn. Sit at the feet of those who have gone before you. Sit at the feet of those who know more than you do. Just open your heart to even become before you begin to do. It takes a lot of humility and having a teachable spirit. And I would say that for me, in short, I don't know how I've done this in the community. I don't know how. I actually don't know how. I don't have a lot of friends and a lot of people in my life actually on an intimate level. But I know that those that are there,
you can count on them.
They want to see me they want to see me thrive. They want to ensure that I am not settling. They want to ensure that whatever God has said and whether I want to become in line with God's will for my life, I'm on track. So I think one thing that we have to remember is that there are people around you that God has actually placed around you, and it takes you looking out. It takes you actually opening your eyes to see. The bulk of my friends, even till now, are from my university, from when I came to Birmingham.
Okay.
And I mean, you never know, which is why you never even know where God is leading you and what God. Let me give you this interesting story. When I was coming to Birmingham for my undergraduate degree, I had a dream. And I literally saw a place, I think it was the old church we used to go to here in Nigeria, our former place of worship. Okay. And then in this church, somebody was on stage and he was announcing, okay, if you're here to help Becky, stand up. Now, this was the season where I was praying about if I should go to Birmingham or not, which is why we must always commit, ask God where he wants us, because even studying at a place is more than just getting a certificate.
Yes,
for me, it was finding my life bodies. It was finding accountability partners. People now started to stand up in this street, people that I did not even know. And remember, I'm like, huh? And then God is telling me that he would help me through those people. Now I look back at that dream and my life, and then till now, a bulk of people that I know are my support as my support system came from there, came from my years abroad. So from Birmingham, my year in Warwick, and obviously social media has also been. I found some of my closest friends as well through social media, which is very interesting. People say, social media.
Yeah.
Social media is not.
God can use anything. God can use anything.
Social media is amazing. you attract who you are. So the kind of value you put out, those are the kind of people that will be attracted
Oh, yes.
to you too. So
That's
it's
right.
vibes. Like
That's right.
social media has helped me a lot. And what has it done is exchange of value. So even people that are in my support system, I want to continue to also encourage them, because life is give and it's give my it's give and take. Like I want the people that God has put in my life to also be better, because I'm in their life as well.
Okay.
So you can't do life alone. And if you search, there are people. Now, I'm also for organic relationships. I'm not really someone who this whole concept of I don't know how to do it. Maybe it's just me. I don't really know how to like. Oh, I want this particular person to mentor me. Or I want this particular person to do something like that. I'm not that kind of person. I just think the end goal is value. The end goal is wise counsel.
Okay.
This person is in my circle, or I hear about this person, or I'm in a group and this person gives advice. I can ask, oh, please, what do you think about this? What's your this is currently what I'm
okay.
God's wisdom. Oh God, can I ask person? God will say go ahead, or God will say go ask this person instead. Things like that. Gender specific advice as well. Some things that are related to like, lady issues. I would speak to someone I know is older than me that has gone ahead. Oh, guy issues. I will speak to someone that I know, or maybe he's married, she's married, the kind stuff like that. So there's always people around you that are willing to help. We just don't know, because sometimes we think I had this problem as well. Everybody's too busy. Everybody already has their own friends.
I still have that problem.
Has their own friends.
I still have that problem.
It's such a real thing. Like they have their own friends.
Like I feel like if they're busy, man, they won't really be interested. But the idea is really just reach out. Just throw it out there. If they say no, take your L. Take the no.
And you carry it.
The chances are, honestly, 9 out of 10 times they probably would say yes. Why not?
Literally. Because what's the worst that can happen? You say, and you know that you did your own, you asked.
Exactly.
It was a sincere question you wanted to ask, finished. So there's honor in accountability. And I love honesty. Like I love people that tell me, Becky, go and sit down. Don't need to say anything. Or please, dear, not now. Like I like being able to be challenged. I don't like always being the one that has something to say. I want to be able to learn. I want to be able to listen. So you also have to have friends that challenge you. If you are, I always say, if you are like,
so let people you learn from, people you're blessing as well. People you're mentoring as well.
Exactly. If you're the only one that everyone is asking, there's like a cross analogy.
Yeah, crosshair.
Yes, people that point to you, those that you point to, and your peers. That's almost like how we should look at accountability. But trust me, there are people. Human resources are probably the big. Like when I think about, it's like God's physical way of holding you up, taking care of, because they are physical. You can see them, you can hear them, you can hug them, you can cry, and their shoulder will be there.
That's right. That's right.
And I have to give this shout out to Vicky and Jeremy. I think response, I just have to miles apart, and I can still feel the ounce of intentionality, which is why I was saying it takes intention. I think for me, like, which is what I'll say about community as well. Being a part of, and if anyone will watch this, Response Hub is the name of this community I'm speaking about. But being a part of Response Hub, when I was in the UK, being a part of the Gift Fellowship as well, coming back to Nigeria, it's literally shaped my whole lot of my values, my why I just am not bothered about some things, why I'm really bothered about something. These are things that I believe God built in those 4 years away. So now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, something similar happened in 2017. Oh, something similar happened. So nothing in our journey is wasted. And it's not because you leave a space that you have to give up on those friendship circles. No. I'm still learning to be more intentional about like staying in touch and not, you know what I mean? Not allowing distance, but that's where intention comes in again. But no, there are people out there. That love you, that care about you, and that want to be there for you. Yeah.
Awesome. So just real quick, could you speak to some of the maybe discouragements you felt, or some of the times you felt like maybe you wanted to reach out and you didn't, and you felt like maybe it was a chance lost or something? I don't know. Yeah.
To be honest, so I feel like a lot of times when I have personally said, I'm not going to bother, it's me. It's not even the person, it's me. It's me. It's me that thinks, like I said, actually, this person is too busy. Or this person already has their people that they cater towards. So let me not even stress myself. But I found that in that was another issue that God was working on me, that God was pointing out rather to work on.
Mm-hmm.
When I think obviously, like I mentioned, I'm the last born,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm kind of like always used to like being around my mom.
Mm-hmm.
However, there was this thing in my house that she wouldn't be able to cope when she's in uni. She wouldn't be able to live alone because in boarding school I used to always cry. I didn't want to be in school. I wanted to always come back home.
Okay.
I made up my mind. It's like from like my A levels, my foundation year, that I would be so strong, that I would surprise everybody, that I would not need anybody's help or assistance. That I would, in short, nobody would look for me. I will not look for them too. And I carried that I was strong. I tried, but I realized that over time, that thing was showing up when I actually needed help. So I would need help, but I would say, no, Becky, you will do it and you get it done and you get it done well. And then God started to pick out that is not only pride, that is it's just a false sense of it's just a false sense of ownership or independence, I would say, because you really, and I created you for community. I didn't create you to do this life alone. So you're not even enjoying this relationship wholly if you don't want to access the people and the resources that I have given to you. So it was even something that, like I said again, from a place of understanding that, oh, God has already made people available, and then started to reach out. And it starts from just a little, maybe plugging yourself into these communities first of all, so that you're not like an outsider.
Just coming in, exactly.
Plugging yourself into this community, making friends, and then, ask one question here. Hi, I'm currently thinking about this. What do you think? And then you just realize that this is an open book. Like, these people are not even scary. These people are not even... There's nothing there. People are out there and willing and able to help. So I believe that some of us have like things that I would say we may never have addressed as issues that kind of affects how we process things and why we react the way we do. So it's worth checking, okay, why am I always hesitant to reach out? It's worth actually having a sit down and with the Holy Spirit process it. Oh, why do I feel like I don't need people's help? Now I'm the queen of asking for help. In short, sometimes it even gets too much. It even gets too much. And in an NGO, I have volunteer people that volunteer. It's like, oh no, you really do need help. You need help, and there are people that are able to help because at the end of the day, it's not for you. The end goal. So, for instance, when I was about to move back, we had like a worship event that we put together, AOW in 2018. And I literally put out a tweet. Before then, I was asking God, oh, how will it happen? How will it happen? God is like, post about it. So I put out a tweet. Hi, guys. I'm thinking of putting together a worship event. Just looking for one of the people that can help me make this possible. My DMs were full of, I can serve in photography aspects. Oh, do you need help with, I can cook. Do you need catering? Oh, do you need to go, like, help. And I was just there like, is this a dream? After that, we've done AOW in Lagos, we've done AOW in Abuja. The team in Abuja, I had not even physically met some people. Like, I was with them the day of the event. So you realize that there are people available, and it's just for you to step out of your supposed comfort zone, which is not even comfortable, to be honest. But just step out of your pride, step out of your fear also, and access the resources that God has given you.
Amen. Amen. Wow, thank you for that. That's very encouraging. That is very encouraging. No, to some people, because it's something I feel like I struggle with as well. Reaching out, speaking to people, getting help. Because especially as a man, the idea and the thought process is you should be able to handle it. You can do it. If God has given you a mandate, He's given you, so it's your problem. You figure it out. Do you understand? But really, like you just said, the idea is it's not really just for me. I mean, the Lord says, okay, I'll do it, and whoever wants to come and help can come and help. And the thing is, there are people who would want to help, because there are people looking to serve, looking to help, but they don't know what avenue or what place. So
they don't know where.
Who knows?
They don't know where. And God was telling me something one day. He said, Becky, give people the chance for me to bless them. And I was like, yo, word.
Hey.
So this is somebody's blessing, actually, because they are blessed for doing God's work as well.
Yes.
So let me give them the opportunity to be blessed, actually. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, love it.
Okay, so now, how did you get into, I don't know which one to ask, because you have so many. Well, yeah, the book, the NGO, praise and worship, recording artist. I don't know which one you want to start with, but how did you get into it? Because I understand a lot of you, a lot of the decisions you make is, the Lord is speaking you to do this, and then you just go there. But yeah.
To be honest, I think I even kind of touched on it earlier when I was speaking about like intention and God being like really precise. Um, that's how all this has started. I think the NGO birthed a lot of my outside thinking. So I began to think more about creating value outside of the work that I do officially in terms of like my office, my work, with my free time. How can I still ensure that I'm creating value?
Okay.
That was really kind of the heart behind, I would say, a lot of things that I do outside of work. So for the NGO, for music, I kind of look at it as one collective whole.
Okay.
And it's also become like a networking hub as well because I'm able to meet other people that are also on this journey of creating value. So by the time we come together, it's just the most beautiful thing ever because just realize, oh, this person is doing something, you can do something similar. By the time everyone is joining forces together,
the
people are being
benefiting.
helped. The impact, exactly, the impact is felt and everything. So that's kind of like where the heart behind it. I think that's where like God has really like helped put that heart behind it as well. But if anything, I think it's also passion. Like I'm also very passionate about singing. I enjoy singing. Okay. So for me, it's like, oh, if my passion can also create liberation for somebody, then why not? Like on a normal day, I would be singing, even if I wasn't like a recording artist, in quotes, I was still singing in my house. I was singing, doing everything I'm doing. So I use that to help people. Also, something that I really like got acquainted to recently was monetization. So yes, obviously there's the career aspect of getting funding, but also through this music there are streams that come in, royalties. With the Black Lives Matter movement, I was able to that month, my royalties for that month, channel that to support, BLM. Other things that I'm doing now will be like, make X amounts from this. Channel that, for example, with the book as well that we've put out. The plan is that total profits of the book will also go to like sexual assault awareness. We're trying to train 1,000 people next year across skill development, personal development, entrepreneurship, finance. So it's like how the Bible says, I would also teach you how to make wealth. So as the money is coming in, the money is useful. Like obviously you relax, have a nice time, sleep, wake up, but you're also making people's lives better and you're being a channel. So things come to you and they flow through you. But like I said, it was literally God last year. I was doing my laundry last year and then God told me, I was listening to a song. I was listening to this song by Tasha Cobbs. You Still Love Me. And there's this part, your love is unbelievable, your love is so amazing. And then God is like, that's the name of the book. And he had never told me about the book before. Like that was our first conversation.
Wow.
So I'm like, huh? I'm like, okay, is it as me? Or but obviously I knew it wasn't about like what am I hearing? Which book? And then he's like, he literally told me everything, 21 stories, encounters with God's love. I even like saw like how the book cover is. So like I saw like the sky, I saw the stars. It's so interesting. It's God is so amazing, and I'm so grateful because he also simplifies the creative process for me.
Yes, I was gonna ask, how was it like writing? How was it coming up with it?
No, it was a lot of tabs open on my laptop.
Research, go back to uni days.
Nobody heard from me for like months.
Wow.
Like I literally, it wasn't even like I made an intentional effort to slip away from like posting on social media or being present. Even like my family sometimes. I'm in my room and my room door is locked because I'm in meetings upon meetings with the proofreaders, editors, and it was like a collation. So there were 21 people that were sending stories.
Okay.
So once people started sending in their stories, started reading through every story, prayerfully discerning what stories should make the book. And after each chapter, I share like my own thoughts. So okay, what is God saying from this story? So not just like story by story, it's actually story and then a takeaway from that story. And then there's a journal, so people can actually pen down their thoughts,
Mm.
Bible references, prayer points. So it
Wow.
was a big project. So it was a lot of work. And as you're doing that, you're also planning for the release. You're also planning for the printing. It was work.
And this is the first book.
First book.
Wow. Because usually people would go ease into it, maybe do my own thing or whatever the Lord is speaking to me. Because so it's just me and the Lord, you know what I'm saying? But no, you went wide. You went in different countries as well. Different countries as well.
But to be honest, it was a lot, but it was fulfilling work. Like, I think regardless of even knowing that, I was at the forefront, or God puts me to make this come through, I really am a fan of that body of work. Like, I randomly just even pick up the book to read. I'm like, it's true. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, this book makes sense.
Wow. That's amazing. That is wonderful.
Oh, word. So I also see the beauty that comes from availability. Like, when you just make yourself available, you don't have to have figured everything out. If God showed me, the book is 283 pages. If God showed me a 293 page book and said you would write that, I would have. So he just knew that he just had to just tell me, girl, that's the title. Let's start. Like, and then as we were going, there's so many days it was a lot. It was time consuming because I was still working, right? So once I'm done with work, I was like, and I didn't have any official leave, nothing. So once I'm done with work, my weekends and my out of work hours were dedicated to the book. Like, I end work by 6, my laptop, have a break, say hello to everyone, to the family, have dinner, open my laptop, put in like 4 or 5 hours, go to bed 11, tomorrow again, we go again. So I could only see how, and you have your weekends, you have your entire Saturdays, Sundays after church till late in the evening. I have my weekends as well. So nothing like Netflix, nothing like overly keeping it.
No.
I said, there's time for everything, but this is the time for you to pour in and to sow, So it probably is probably the craziest thing I've ever, I don't know, it's very crazy. Like, I'm like, how did that happen?
But fulfilling though.
And it was like, what, 4 months? We started in May. The book came out October 1st. So 4 months.
Look at God. I mean, wow. I think that is testament to the amount of work God is just doing in you and doing in the NGO. Because I read some of the testimonials and I was just like, wow. Yeah. 4 months. I mean,
4 months.
God is good.
God is really good. Honestly. And shout out to the team because I had to pull people in and they were all voluntary. I shared it on my social media. Guys, please pray for me. I'm now proofreading, just like Insta stories. And someone is like, I actually proofread as well. Can I be a part of this project? How can I help? I'm like, okay, let me know your price. Let me know. Like, I'm like, this is too good to be true. And I asked the Holy Spirit. She's like, oh no, she just wants to help. And I asked the Holy Spirit, what do you think? God is like, go ahead. I'm like, this is big. She was involved in the proofreading process. She's not even in Nigeria. Wow. Someone else has worked from like the digital angle. This is how we're going to share. These are the things we're going to make. So there are people out there to help you. Your own job is just to start whatever God is telling you to do. Run with the vision. There are people out there. People are losing sleep. Somebody actually once messaged me and said, I'm not at peace. I want to help you. This was for EOW. She said, I'm not at peace. I can almost never forget that. She said, God is not allowing me to rest. I want to help you. I was like,
it sounds like the story of the king and Mordecai.
Yes, literally. Literally that. Literally that. Literally that. And this is very timely because I felt like God was telling me that this is an Esther season. Like, that he's really, this is an Esther generation. Even what we've been doing, like the protests, speaking out. God has been telling me, anyone that say, this has happened before, nothing came out of it. You were not alive then. This generation was not alive then. So this time around, something will come out of this. So go. I've been so empowered with just knowing that. Let us know that we did, at least, like what Mordecai told Esther. What if you were made queen for such a time as this?
That's right.
Like, almost my life's mantra. Like, I love that so much. So you're so right. You're so right. Yes.
Amen. Yeah. Hey, oh man, this is beautiful.
Honestly, I'm even almost shivering.
No, this is good because it just means that, listen, when God tells you something and God gives you something, as much as He gives it to you, you're supposed to steward it. But it is
That's
not
all.
just for you.
That's
And
all.
if He gave it to you, He will provide men, women, people, money, time, everything to birth that for the world. Because I look at this as well. I did not plan this, to be honest. I did not plan to start, speaking. Because I always felt there's so many other people speaking. Why would my voice make a difference? Why would my voice add to it? But
That
it was
group
just.
chat we're playing to in that group chat that we just
Do you understand? But it was like, listen, no, I provided everything for you. Why not? Just speak.
why not?
Bring people. Show them that, listen, when I'm doing something,
not?
I'm doing it, not you. Huh? But
Word.
man,
Word.
God is
Why
good.
not?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, at the end of the day, you know how we sing songs like "There's no shadow you won't light up coming after me, no wall you won't break down."
Mm-hmm.
What if God wants to reach someone,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are that middle point,
Yes.
you are that channel
Yes.
for him
Yes.
to
Yes.
reach
Yes.
this person.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, I want to break this wall down because I have someone I want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
That wall is your fear.
Mm.
That wall is your those walls are your own questions because he has to pull those things down to meet someone at the other side because of what he has placed in you. So why would we want to allow ourselves not be used by God to change somebody's life? The people that have shaped my life, what if they said, oh, I don't want to? What if they said, I don't want to?
Oh, man.
So we must learn to remove ourselves
man.
from the picture, remove our convenience, remove our comfort, remove our
fears, our doubts.
I'll figure it out when I'm ready. There is a world out there that is waiting for the manifestation
Right
of
now. Right now.
Like, they are earnestly waiting, and I'm telling myself, "Oh, I'm coming." I know it's not fair. People are waiting.
Imagine
mandates.
Imagine if BK heard the response but didn't act on it. To some point, this may not have happened. Because with me as well, like they kind of spurred it on. Because a lot of the media and the things I did it within the response, and now I do it, And I'm thinking like, that's one person, one idea. Now imagine every other thing else within our lives, whether how we build, how we speak, how we act, how we love. If they chose not to act on what they were supposed to do, then who would we be?
I have to say this. I know Jimmy is going to be like, "Oh my God, Becky,
speak on it." I'm gonna get big Jimmy on it.
Girl. There was this the very first response meeting. I think it was actually sometime like November of 2016, 17 now. 16 actually, or 15. I can't remember the precise year. But it was a Birmingham one we were doing. And BK is like, "Oh, you're going to lead worship." And I'm like, now I know that response. Me, I was in gift, I was in the fellowship. I know that response has everyone that needs to share. So me, I was just saying to Stewart, wanting to know more of God, wanting to learn the heart of God. Like I don't want. I said, "Oh, you lead, and I should speak to Jumi." And then he sends me Jumi's contact and says, "Oh, you speak to her." So I jump on a call with Jumi, and I'm like, she said, "Oh, what songs do you have?" And she's like, "Oh, she one has, another song to teach me." And we had that session. So that was how I met her. That was our first call. So she was teaching me a song.
Okay.
Now I led worship at the event that day. And I can tell you that was like the first. I couldn't understand why they singled. I couldn't understand why they singled me out today. I could not. Like, there's a pool of people, and I've never met you people like that. If anybody, it was even maybe Sam, because Sam was, the leader of
the gift.
I'm like, why? But anyway, it's God's work, right? Let me serve. Let me say yes to this opportunity. That was like the beginning of a lot of praise and worship leading. I would just, it just gave me some, it was such an empowerment for me. It was such a confirmation for me. It was such a, I felt like some people had seen what God had put inside me and they wanted to bring it out. Now, fast forward to that, I met Jumi, right? Something happened in my final year. I was having this uncomfortable situationship, so to say. This person, and I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
And I'm like, God, who do I speak to about this? And I messaged Jumi, which is why I was saying, reach out. You don't know who wants to help.
That's true.
Jumi. Do you know that Jumi literally, I don't know how God did it. And I look back at how we met. She literally took a mother, big sister role. That whole situation ended. I was able to not settle. I was able to continue to lift my head up. She was able to walk me through even the after. Even when I finished university and I went to my master's, even till now, anything that's happening, she's still in the know. Because of one single act of BK giving me Jumi's number to lead worship at an like, when I connect the dots, I'm like, so God prepared this situation so that it would save me 2 years down the line from something I shouldn't enter. Nah, it actually is too much. It's too much for me to think about.
Man.
So you don't know what God is doing and how significant your yes is not. And this is just our own story. Every member of the community most definitely even has their own testimony. And that's just from our little community. Those are us that even know it. We don't know. We don't know. We don't even know what God is doing. So I pray that we never live half lives. We never live beneath the fullness of what God has in store for us, because my life has literally changed. My life has changed. And I mean, even my life, that situation would have shaped my future. It was a big situation. And she had such a, Becky, you will not, and this is why you will not. And every day she will check on me, give me scripture, pray with me. Randomly, I'll just be going through my day. She'll be like, are you okay? Like, she was a huge part of the reason why I didn't make that decision. And I'm like, you met me 2 years ago. And God has used you this much. So we must remember that our lives are not just for us. God needs us to save people from making life-threatening decisions that would shape the course of their eternity and their future if we don't step up. God needs us. God wants to use us. We have to make ourselves available. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Wow.
It's what.
Wow. Wow. I
And
feel
we
like
need
this
to share vulnerable stories. These are vulnerable stories that people need to hear, because you realize that actually you're not the only one. Like, I too have experienced something like that, and I needed someone to drag my hand out of what I knew God was telling me, but I didn't want to hear until somebody had to. She literally snatched me out and said, "You will listen to me, and this is what you will not do."
You know, it was actually one of the reasons why I said, I spoke to God and the Lord confirmed it with me, and He's like, okay, yeah, go forward with just everyday people. Because our community, especially, I would look at our community and I would see how we would speak. I would see, what we would go through, and I would see how important and necessary it is for people to hear it. Yes. But then I would see how we don't really have that much of an extension, for people to hear it. So I was like, okay, let me just use whatever little platform I have to broadcast it, because the world has a way of polluting the media, and they would say whatever they say without really any context or any foundation. But we have God, and we have an understanding of what we're saying, and what we're saying can help people. It's a message of hope. So I was just feeling like, listen, if the Lord is saying anything, if he doesn't want to do it, listen, then I know the Lord knows the way to speak to me, and just say no. But if the Lord is saying go, then listen, you're gonna have to do it. But yeah, I feel like this conversation shouldn't end. But but wow, I have one more question before we end this. Honestly, Becky, I really just appreciate you. Thank you for being on. Thank you for your honesty, your transparency. Thank you for being a useful vessel, being available, because your life right now has impacted so many people. People you may never meet, but just as you are right now, just a song. It's when you sing a song and you send it out. Honestly, you don't know. So yes, my question is, what advice would you give to people struggling to find their purpose? And I would kind of personalize it towards you. So a younger Becky, so let's say a 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old Becky, what advice would you give to her if she was struggling to find, her purpose?
Wow. First off, I think I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my God, Becky, you said this before, but I'll say it again. To be honest, find First, find God.
Mm.
First, find God.
Mm.
Purpose is hidden there. Like, God will tell you your purpose there. I wouldn't have been doing anything I'm doing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I probably wouldn't even be here without that. So that has been the basis and the rock of my identity, first of all. Because I'm someone who values a sense of, because I grew up not having the biggest or the highest self-esteem. I grew up on the chubby side. So it kind of affected my perception of how I looked, how guys will approach me when me and my friends go out, more towards my friends. So I always kind of had that in my head about, oh, I'm not usually picked. But so my winning point was, oh, when I'm in school, when I'm being head girl, or when I'm excelling in my studies.
When I'm responsible. Okay.
But exactly. There was also being, with color and you're so dark skinned, the light skinned girls get the most attention. All these things that don't matter now because of how firm my identity is and how much by God's grace it will continue to grow in terms of my security in God and in who God has called me to be. So the more I notice that I can only flourish when I'm in that place. Like every time I feel burdened, every time I feel like I'm losing myself, I'm not my best self, I have to go back. This period, it's either you've been thinking too much about you in terms of wanting to be relevant or wanting to be known outside of what God has called you to do, or just wanting more than just not being content with your portion. Whenever I have those situations, I have to always go back to the core and make sure that my why is recentered. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Even as significant as you put out a song and people are saying, oh, by now your song should be racking X, Y, and Z views, and I'm just there saying, yeah, I didn't even bring myself here. If God wants to do his thing, I mean, but I have to remember that I constantly, even till this morning, was something I wrote down. I want to detach me from the assignment. How? By remembering not me that makes these assignments flourish. It is God in me that makes them what they are. And what man sees as excellence is not exactly what God sees as excellence. God sees my yes and my obedience as excellence. Man may see facts and figures and numbers and every other thing. So I must be so secure in God, so that when the world starts to give me their own idea of what success is, of what's purpose, I am secure in my identity as my father's child. Everything will now flow from there. So for me, that has been. It's even. Is this not even something I'll tell my younger? Something I'll even tell myself now. I'll tell myself tomorrow. Wow. It's something that trust me. It's something I always want to remember. Like, remember your why, and remember
God. Remember your why.
And that's it. And remember who this is onto, who called you to this work. And I think when you find that, something that I also say is, because it's not easy. I wouldn't want to paint a picture of all these things and it's so luxury, I'm so happy. I'm fulfilled inside, I'm grateful, but I'm like, it takes work. Like I know that as a person, there's some days I'm just like I wonder how life would have been if, like, I just want to sleep, like I just want to rest, I just want to. I'm like, actually, Becky, those things are possible. So why does the burden feel heavy? Then I strip back again. I look, am I putting too much pressure on myself? Am I putting a timeline? Before I'm 25, before I'm this, am I starting to put those things, on my plate? And most importantly, am I utilizing the resources that God has given me, the people around me, the available resources? I always tell myself, anything I don't have now doesn't mean I cannot have it tomorrow. There's so many things, even for IYF, that we didn't have when we launched. But thankfully now we're gradually starting to have. There's so many things that we don't even have now that we would have next year and in 2 years and in 3 years. So allow God, just live your life, be present in your now, like allow it shape, enjoy everything, be going as it's going. You're like, for me, I know that as God equips me, my 1 single here, 2 singles here, 3 singles here, just be going. Don't put yourself under any pressure to do more than parable of the talents, 5, 2, and 1. The person who they called 1, if he faced his 1, he probably would have made 2. The one who they gave 5 had to make 10 because he was giving 5. Should the 5 compare to the 1? No. Should the 1 compare to the 5? No. What is on my own plate? What am I doing with it?
Work with what you have.
Everybody just focus on your own lane. You
that's
know.
Right.
So I think those are like my thoughts. And I know I said finally before, but like finally. finally. There's nothing better. I know I've said it gets tiring and it's a lot, but you are better off. Like, there's nothing better than getting lost in God's purpose for you. You are better. Your life is better. You are better. It is the best decision you can make. Doing what you know God has called you to do. Doing what you know God wants you to do. So remain intentional about unraveling that every day. I don't think the whole picture. Some people, the whole picture can come at once. For me, it's project by project or year by year, month by month. But it's a journey of unveiling. I know that I'm better than who I was last year, last month, yesterday, you know. So yeah, that's what I would say. Enjoy the process and make friends along the way. Live your life. I was like, Becky, live a little. Go out, have fun, eat, sleep, watch movies, enjoy your life, because we have the whole life anyway to use, to live on purpose. So you're not time bound to a particular, no, enjoy the process. Yeah, I think I said finally 100 times, but yeah, that was like the final one.
Nice. Wow. Thank you for that, Becky. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, some wise words. Find God, find your why, hold on to it.
Yes.
Get your identity sorted out before you start chasing anything else that sways it away. But yeah, thank you so much, Becky, for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I genuinely enjoyed this conversation. I really did enjoy this conversation.
Hopefully we can get you back on maybe next year.
Honestly, I'm down. Point. I'm here for you.
Amazing.
I am. I truly am.
Thank you so much. And honestly, for all the work you do as well within the community, within Nigeria, on your posts as well, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Honestly, you're definitely making change. You are impacting lives. Thank you very much. It's okay. It's okay. We love you, girl. We love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well done. Also, God bless you, Lord.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Thank you for staying to the end. I really hope you guys were blessed. You guys learned something from the conversation. Thank you so much to Becky for being with us all the way from Nigeria. Yeah, she's been through a lot, and I'm sure you guys have taken a little something from the conversation you have. Please leave us a comment below if something has touched you. If from this conversation you've taken something. Even if it may not be for you, please share it to a friend, share it to a family member. They may benefit from it. Also subscribe to the channel, guys, please. We need it. Helps with the analytics and everything. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in again. Stay tuned. We drop videos again every Wednesday and Sunday. So stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. God bless you guys. Take care.